Hello and greetings, Mr. Rogues here today to talk about some crappy Two-Face figures. Figures in my collection that I don't actually like, but for some weird reason bought anyway. I guess because I'm just that obsessed with Two-Face. Anyway, I want to start off with this one. Let's bring him a little bit closer so you can see this awfulness. This figure is, as you can see, sorta based on the animated series Two-Face. Just sorta. I mean, he's got a pretty animated, serious looking face here with the blue scarring and everything, but the suit is completely wrong. It's not black and white as it is in the animated series. Instead, it's this weird pattern. Gray and more gray with a checkerboard pattern on it. Not really sure why they did this and why they made this figure in the first place. This figure was released in the early 2000s, several years after the animated series had stopped airing. For some reason he's also holding a gold coin, a golden coin. Now, when has ever Two-Face used a golden coin? I have no idea. Certainly not in the animated series though. This guy also came with 0 accessories, and as you can see by his hand here, he wouldn't be able to hold any accessories anyway. It's a clenched fist and there's nothing you can really do about that. I really do not like his head. It looks pretty weird to me. It looks kinda squished. Maybe you agree with me. If you have a closer look, it looks like they kinda squish his face like that. Pretty weird looking. Way too narrow head. This figure also has a pretty hard time standing. Actually, when I got him out of the package, he couldn't stand on his own at all. He kept falling over. And that's because there were some problems with the sculpting of the soles of his feet. So I had to take a file and file down the soles of his feet. That was the only way to get him to stand. And he still doesn't stand very well. He constantly falls over on my shelf. You have to kind of pose him with his back leaning backwards. That way he stands better. That of course looks kind of strange. That's not really how you want your Two-Face figure posed, with standing like this. Kinda funny looking. All in all, just a really mediocre Two-Face figure, which I have no idea why it was produced in the first place. And to make things even stranger, they really peddled this figure all over the place. They sold them in single packs, which is how I got them. They sold them in 2 packs with a Batman figure. They sold them in multi-packs with several different other Batman villain figures. They also sold tons of different versions of this figure with various different color schemes on the suit. Several different repaints of this figure. And of course, none of them had what he's supposed to have, the black and white suit. For some reason. So we talked about a supposed animated series Two-Face figure, so why not bring in a supposed The Dark Knight Two-Face figure? Here, right here. Two-Face, Harvey Dent from the movie The Dark Knight. Incredible likeness to the movie, right? Isn't it? I mean, that looks exactly like Aaron Eckhart looked like in the movie, doesn't it? The scarring certainly is spot on. Don't you remember in the movie he had this purple scarring that didn't go all the way down his face, and his suit was entirely burned on this side, and his hand was purple too. You don't remember that in the movie? This figure was actually made for kids. Mattel, who made the figure, made 2 versions of the Dark Knight's Two-Face. They made this one for the kiddies, and then they made this one for the so-called adult collectors. Now, obviously, when you compare these two to each other, this one is far superior. It's not a fantastic figure either in my opinion, but obviously blows this one out of the water. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can't really complain that much about this figure because it was made for kids. It's not really meant as a collectible. It's made to be played with in the sandbox. But with that said, I obviously don't like this figure because it doesn't look anything like he does in the movie. I guess you didn't say, well, you shouldn't have bought it then, and Well, I can't really argue with that. I really shouldn't have bought it. But I did anyway, and it is one of the lamest pieces in my Two-Face collection, without a doubt. And we go from the Dark Knight to the Arkham games with this tiny little figure here based on Two-Face from Arkham Knight. As you can clearly see, because he has a blue tie. That's really the only difference between Two-Face in Arkham Knight and Arkham City. His tie is blue. Now I am pretty certain that this figure is just a scaled down version of this one, the Arkham City figure made by Mattel. I mean, they look way too similar in design and sculpt and pose and everything for it to be a coincidence. I really think they just took this figure, scaled it down to tiny size and just made a few changes, like his sleeve here and of course painting the tie a different color. Why did we need this? Why did they make this figure? It's pretty pathetic. A pathetic excuse for a figure. And Two-Face barely appears in the game anyway. I guess that's why he only deserved this tiny pathetic figure instead of a real figure. Yeah, this is like one of those figures that I keep forgetting that I even own in my collection, because it is so forgettable. And now we go to the final figure of this video, and probably my least favorite piece of Two-Face merch in my entire collection, and that is this even tinier figure. This was made by Mattel again. Now, Mattel has made some really stellar Two-Face figures, I'm not gonna lie there, but they sure have produced a lot of crap too. This was part of a series of these tiny-sized DC figures that they for some reason decided to put out, but they cost about the same as a larger 6-inch scale figure. The price was pretty much the same. They were not cheaper, they were really expensive. And my copy was no different. I also had to pay quite a penny for this tiny piece of garbage. I don't know why they decided to make this series of figures in the first place. I mean, who were they trying to appeal to? They weren't really marketed as toys for kids. They were actually intended as adult collector's figures, but what kind of a sane adult would ever buy this? Yeah, I mean, it's not just the fact that it's so small. I mean, small figures can look cool too. It's just look at it. It's just so odd. No. The sculpt, the paintwork, everything. It just looks so cheap. Looks like a kind of figure you find at a dollar store or something, in a dollar bin. Some kind of a, or maybe, yeah, even a knockoff figure you find in a dollar bin. I mean, but it wasn't. It was it's an official Two-Face figure by Mattel. Cost a ton of money. Like, what? I mean, and they just had to go with the ugliest Two-Face design too that I've ever seen. I mean, just look at this suit. What is this? Brown on this side? Why brown? And then blue here. But no, just on the jacket. Because the pant is black. Why? Why couldn't have this continued here? That would have been a little bit better looking. But no. They wanted to make the pant black. And you got this green shirt here on this side. Nothing makes any sense here. And the scarring, I mean, purple scarring, that's nice. I got nothing against that. But just the design of the scarring itself and the sculpt work, it's just so generic, so dull, Such a dull, tiny, pathetic little figure. I really feel embarrassed having this figure on my shelf. I really do. But I mean, I kind of have to. I bought it. It's part of my Two-Face collection, and I want to show off my Two-Face merch on my shelf. So I kind of have to have it on there. But yeah, I do feel a bit ashamed. He's so sad. Such a sad little figure. And anyway, there you have it. That was a look at my 4 least favorite Two-Face action figures. What a fun video, wasn't it? Anyway, as always, remember Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video.